I'm Sebastian St. James. You cannot afford your home. Well, hopefully that's not true, but the RBA Governor is announcing that interest rates are going up, and they're going up fast, and if you have a mortgage, this may be true. The current cash rate is 0.85%, as you can see there on the 8th of June. Interest rates have been going up, but when was the last time when interest rates were at their low? Well, that was at 0.1%, which is the lowest period in my history, which was back on the 6th of April, and it was there for quite some time, as you can see on the graph. 0.85%. When was the last time that cash rates, the interest rate set by the RBA, was that high? I can tell you that. If we look back in history, we see that on the 4th of September 2019, so 3 years ago, it was 1%. And if you go back the previous month, it was 0.75. So somewhere between those two dates was the 0.85 mythical figure. And that's how far you have to go back. Is 0.85% the current interest rate too high? No, it's actually very low by historical standards. Let's take a look. If we go back to the 5th of October 2011, we see the cash rate was 4.75%. We are complaining about 0.85%. It has been a lot higher than that through most of the history. And so over time, you see it's just a bare blip. This is bad news for you if you have a mortgage. Why? Well, 4.75%. You're complaining about 0.85%. It can go up and go up and go up a lot further. So that is what you're expecting in the future. Take a look at 1990. Germany was reunified. So before that there was East and West. Now there's just Germany. The formal beginning of the Human Genome Project was announced, and it was the launch of the Hubble Space Telescope. We've had a new telescope since then, but that's when Hubble was announced. And in 1990, the same year that those three things happened, something else happened. Interest rates were 17.5% on the 23rd of January 1990. 17.5%. We have a lot further to go up to meet that recent max. I'm not expecting it will, but who's to say it won't? 17.5 seems rather high to me, but what is the interest rate on average? If we're going to go up, say, from an all-time low to an average, what is that average going to be? Well, I've done the math. I have downloaded, as you can see, the raw interest rate data on a day-by-day basis from the RBA, so I can do the statistical analysis for you. And here is a graph of that data proving that it all works. And how far do we go back? Well, we only go back there to 2011, the 10th of January, when it looked to be about 4.75%. That is the data I shall be working through, and it goes right up till today. The average was 1.93%, the median is 1.5%, and now it is 0.85%. So even on the recent average over the last 10, 11 years, we are still nowhere near that average. I have another video coming out shortly that will delve more deeply into the Australian market and the crisis that's going on, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. So how high could interest rates actually go? Up to 17.5%, or we're going to take this 2.5% median? The answer is there's really no limit. Sure, 17.5% was a historical high, but the RBA Reserve Governor is going to keep putting up interest rates until it meets their inflation target. And not until. What is that target? Well, that is 2 to 3%. And until we actually get inflation down to that, the RBA will keep raising rates. What are we expecting? In July, we're expecting somewhere between 0.25% and 0.5%. But we are expecting it to go up again. Given that we're so low in comparison to historical interest rates, so with only ways up, what is the problem then? Why are people complaining about housing affordability when interest rates are so incredibly low? The answer is that houses are not low, they are incredibly high. Not the interest rates, but the price of the houses. Do you know, some of Australian cities are some of the worst in the world. Well, they're lovely places to live, but not if you have to buy a house. Take a look at this. The most expensive place to live in the whole world, based on a multiple of income of people who live there, is Hong Kong at 23.2 times income. Number 2 in the whole world is Sydney at 15.3 times income. So there are more expensive places in the world to live, only just, but then the incomes are so much higher. So this is as a multiple of income. Vancouver is 13.3 times income. San Jose is 12.6 times income and Melbourne is 12.1 times income. So the 5th most expensive city in the world. Wow, never live in Sydney or Melbourne if you want to buy a house, but where can you live in Australia? Perth has 7.1 times income, Adelaide 8 times income, Brisbane is 4.4 times income. But what about in the northern parts? What about up in Darwin? Well, apparently if you move up there, the government just gives you a house as a thank you gift for coming up. If I can't live in Sydney and I can't live in Melbourne because houses are unaffordable, and basically they are right across Australia anyway, where should I move to? And where should I get my passport stamped right now? Well, the most affordable place is Pittsburgh at 2.7 times income. Wow, you'd have your house paid off in no time. In Oklahoma City and Rochester, it is 3.3 times income, and in Edmonton and St. Louis, it is 3.6 times income. So yeah, move to the US. If you want a house, if you want to live in Australia, expect to live in a cardboard box. The problem, of course, is that income is going up very slowly and houses are shooting through. I can put that in a graph. This is the dwelling prices. In orange, you can see they are well and truly outpacing the average full-time earnings, which is in red. And that's the problem at the moment. It's not so much that the interest rates are super high, because they're not. But the houses are so super high that if you buy into even a typical, boring, average suburb, the amount of money that you've had to borrow is so incredibly high that even if the low interest rates go up by a little bit, there's going to be a lot of people who will not be able to afford to pay back their mortgages, and that's going to be a problem more and more going forward. Do you know that millennials are actually wasting their money on smashed avocado on toast instead of buying a house? Is this true, or is this just a vicious rumor? I've done a video on that. Go ahead and click on it now.